All right, excellent. So I'd like to welcome everybody to today's call in celebration of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Today's call we're calling Employment in Action, a Celebration of Success. This year in 2020 is the 75th observance of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. The U.S. Department of Labor identified this year's theme as increasing access and opportunity. The Division of Developmental Disabilities and its partners have made employment a priority as we desire to narrow the gap between those who want to work and those who are actually able to achieve that desired outcome. On the screen, I'm just recognizing a few of our many partners, but I'd like to do a special shout out to Employment First Missouri, which is the collaborative between the Division of Developmental Disabilities and Nick Holtz, Jesse Kenoy, and David Hoff at the UMass Boston Institute for Community Inclusion. I'd also like to recognize MARF and the network of MARF and all the providers that have helped support individuals with achieving their employment outcomes. Also, Missouri DD Council, as well as MAC-DDS, and their continued support with making employment a priority. As we know, all individuals have the talent and skills necessary in supporting our community businesses with meeting their workforce solutions. In honor of MDEAM, we wanted to highlight 5 success stories across the state of Missouri, representing each kind of region in Missouri. So we have 5 different success communities that we will be hearing from today. I definitely would encourage folks to utilize the chat box. We want this to be a very kind of organic discussion, and do not hesitate to post your questions there. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you would, please make sure that your line is mute if you're not speaking. If you're a panelist, I would just encourage you to make sure your cell phones are muted so that way they don't ring while you may be talking. If you are asking a question or offering a comment for the panelists to see, please select all panelists in the chat box as it's actually presenter. I'm sorry, no it's not, it's all panels. So please select all panelists, because otherwise if you select host, Micah Johns, who is our host, is the only one that will see it. And so we want to make sure that all people that are part of the panel are able to see any questions or comments or feedback that you may have. So again, thank you all for your participation. We will start it off before we introduce our communities with just a quick poll question. So what we'd like to know is who is participating in today's call. We see that we have about almost 70 individuals participating today. So if you would, just please identify your role as either someone involved with support coordination, whether you're working with a service provider, a state agency staff, ED, voc rehab, ED council, or other state agency, a parent or an advocate, or if you're participating today as a self-advocate. And we will give you about 15 seconds to answer that question for us. Okay, Heike, you want to go ahead and close that out? Okay, so it looks like in our participation today that we have 17 individuals representing support coordination. We have 16 representing service providers. We do have 6 state agency staff. We have 1 self-advocate, one who's identified as a parent or advocate, and then about a third we don't have a response for. So we'll assume that you're equitably distributed across each of those roles. But at least that helps the panelists know the audience that they're presenting to. The next question, if you would, this will just kind of help us as we go through the panel and have them maybe address some of the questions that you all may experience on a day-to-day basis. But if you would, please let us know if you have experienced obstacles in supporting employment success. If you have they rarely presented themselves? Do you occasionally have obstacles, or do you frequently have obstacles? And we'll give you about 10 more seconds to answer that question. And Housekeeping, we'll go ahead and end that poll. So it looks like from the responses that the majority of individuals talk about occasionally having some obstacles. Unfortunately, it does look like about 25% individuals talk about frequently experiencing options, and only 5% indicating rarely having any obstacles. So this is one of the reasons why we do want to have success stories, because what we find many times are that the obstacles outweigh the opportunities. And so hopefully success stories like the ones that you will hear today and the feedback that you'll receive today will help you in your local level be able to overcome some of those obstacles that you experience. And then our last poll question, if you could change one thing to facilitate greater employment opportunities, it would be, is it improve benefits planning, solve transportation barriers, solve myth busting, having a better understanding of employer needs, other, if you choose other, please make a comment in the chat box, or nothing, you're already an employment hero. And Housekeeping, we'll go ahead and end that one. Okay, it looks like the majority of individuals identified solving transportation as one of the things that they would love to be able to resolve. So if, as we have our pilot communities, success communities today, if you did have transportation as a barrier, if you would, please make sure you kind of hit on that as you're presenting. And then we have a pretty equal number of people identifying that if they could change one thing, it'd be about myth busting or having a better understanding of business needs. And just one or two people indicating benefits planning, and one or two people indicating that they are an employment hero. So what we would hope is maybe a year from now, we would be able to have all 65 responses being as not needing to change anything, that we're all employment heroes. So with that, I am going to quit sharing our screen. And Heike, do you mind, or do I need to do that? If we can drop the PowerPoint off where we're getting full screen. And while we're working on that, what I'd like to do is just do a brief introduction of each of our success communities that we've identified. So what I will do is identify the community, and then if that community would have one individual introduce everyone in their group, we would appreciate that. So I will begin with Christian County Links.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrea Swope. I am the Executive Director of CC Links, and today I have with me Lynn Neidick, who is an employee of CC Links as our life coach. And then we also have Dakota, who is an individual that is supported.
All right, thank you, Andrea. Next, learning opportunities, Quality Works.
Hi, I'm Leanne Belden with LOQW, and with me today I have Maddie, and she works at the Chilvina Villa.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Let's go next to Summit Future Foundation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassidy Job. I am the Executive Director of Summit Future Foundation. We are a Kansas City-based nonprofit that supports youth and young adults. And I have with me today Mary Baldinger, who is the parent of Samantha Baldinger, who is employed through our Watch Me Thrive program.
And Mary, would you like to unmute and say hello?
Okay, gotcha. Hi, I'm Mary Baldinger, and my daughter Samantha is involved in the Summit Future Foundation since last December of last year. And looking at a lot of those questions, I don't think I would have answered what I did not having the support through the foundation. I think it would be a heck of a lot harder road traveled without Cassidy and that whole foundation. So it's been a wonderful experience.
All right, thank you. And
you're welcome.
Looking forward to hearing more about that. Let's go to UCP and Zach.
Oh yeah, my name is Zach, and I'm joined here by Daxton, who's one of our superstars who is employed now at Pedestal Foods in Lindenwood.
All right, and we're looking forward to hearing your all's story. And last but not least, let's go to ACT in Columbia with Corey and Josh.
Hi, I'm Corey. I work at ACT. And Josh Wilson.
What's up?
Tell him where you work.
I work at IV.
All right, thank you all. So let's start off. What I'd like to do is have each of the communities just talk a little bit about the success story and a situation that they would like to spotlight, highlight, and have folks across the state of Missouri to hear about. So let's go ahead and begin with Christian County.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne. As we said earlier, my name is Andrea, Executive Director of CC Links, and our board, we are an SB 40 board down in Christian County, which is south of Springfield and north of Branson. Our board came up with some strategic plans a few years ago, focusing in on employment services, transition services, and transportation. And through that process, we hired Lynn Neidick as our life coach to help really focus in on our individuals on that transition age, where we just felt like there was just some gaps between the school environment and being ready for competitive employment. And so I'm going to let Lynn then go into a little bit more information about her life skills programming and the Summer Leadership Academy and how Dakota falls in with all of that.
Thanks, Andrea. Yes, first of all, I do some classes, and one of the classes that we were addressed earlier is the need for transportation. And I have been offering for the last 2.5 years a driver permit class where we just study questions that would be on the test. And the Missouri test is one of the hardest tests to pass. So that has been super helpful. We have had a success rate of around 20%, which I think is pretty good considering that each class is full of 10 individuals, so that's the limit. I also put together the last 2 years a Summer Leadership Academy, and it's designed to provide intensive instruction in self-determination, life management, and career exploration. The students spend 6 weeks in the summer and approximately 50 hours just identifying some person-centered goals that are very short-term, about 6 months, and coming up with a plan to meet those goals. And then we follow through with these individuals after graduation, just keeping them involved and motivated to reach those goals. So this last summer, we definitely found some great outcomes. The last 2 years, students are much more confident. They seem to have a sense of purpose and are very motivated on those person-centered goals because we've spent some intense time developing them and getting them ready to succeed. So this last summer, even though it was an odd shutdown summer, we actually had Dakota with us, and before that, he had worked a little bit with one of our local providers doing some discovery. Is that right? With some interns. So you want to tell us a little bit about your journey to get your current job, which is at Lowe's.
Current job at Lowe's is I was working with Preferred Employment. By working with them, I got a job at Lowe's. I went for 2 interviews. The first interview, I interviewed for a job and I thought I would be a perfect match for it. The second interview was for a front loader, and what I do is I help people load their vehicles, from fridges to concrete blocks to plywood and such and such. And I really like it a lot, and I learned a lot of new things. It's a good experience for me.
How many job interviews did you go on before you received this interview?
2.
Okay. So you just interviewed twice at Lowe's?
Yeah.
And that
The
was
second one, I got the job that, God asked me for. We did not.
very good. And you had answered one of your barriers was transportation.
Yeah.
So you want to tell about your next goal you're working on?
My next goal right now, I'm working on studying and taking a permit test to pass that test. For the first year in the license. Very much.
Very good. Anything else? Sure. Okay. We'll hand it back to you, Dwayne.
All right, thank you. And we'll definitely have more questions for each part of the panel, but again, if folks on the call would like to ask questions, feel free to post those in the chat box. So let's go next to Rianne and Maddie at Learning Opportunities. And if you would, just show us a little bit about Maddie's success and kind of her story.
Yeah, Dwayne. So a few years ago, we were able to start a work experience program with a local school, with a local business, senior living facility called the Shelbina Villa, our SB40 board, and service coordination as well. So it was really a great collaborative effort. And so for 2 years, her junior and senior year, Maddie was able to work at the Shelbina Villa for a couple hours a day and really get hands-on work experience. And this was something Maddie was really excited about. It's her first job, right? Yeah. And she was able to kind of get in there and learn what it means to go to work every day, to clock in, and work in every department to kind of figure out what she liked. And what was your favorite place to work at the Villa, Maddie?
The dietary.
And so she found that she really loved the dietary. Is there a certain reason why?
Because I like being around the residents and helping out in the kitchen.
Because she really likes being in the kitchen, work with the residents.
Yeah.
So she found that she really wanted to work there, and that was her goal. And so after graduation, Maddie was able to interview at the Villa with Administrator Kim Thompson. And then, do you remember that interview, Maddie?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Were you nervous?
Yeah.
But do you think the program and stuff can help prepare you for that?
Yeah.
So through the program, plus she had some experience, she got to know Kim and a lot of her future employees. And so she was able to be hired on. And so now Maddie works there twice a week in the evening, which is really cool. And one of the things we talked about as a group and with the program before she graduated was transportation. It looked like she was going to get a job offer because she did so great during the program. So how do you get to work, Maddie?
I ride my golf cart.
So Maddie drives her golf cart to and from work every week, which is really cool. So she's always on time and ready to go, and it's just really neat. So that was her fix, was that she was able to get a golf cart, save up, purchase that, and take that to work. So that's kind of Maddie's story and start of how she got there and her experience through the work experience program that really gave her that hands-on initiative and start to help find her dream job.
I'm muted and talking there. Sorry. What's really awesome about that, and one of the reasons why we want to look at different regions, is obviously creativity and innovation bubbles up at the local level. Although driving a golf cart down 270 in St. Louis wouldn't be a solution, in somewhere like Shelbina and rural areas, that becomes a very realistic and creative solution to overcoming the transportation barrier. So what I love about these stories is you see how unique they are to each individual at their local level. So let's go next to UCP and Zach and Baxter.
Yeah, so at UCP, I work as an employment specialist, and throughout COVID, we've seen a lot of clients come in who were previously employed, and because of COVID, kind of lost their jobs. And Daxton, that's kind of where his story began. Daxton, I think you lost your job earlier in the summer, and he came to us in August with this awesome positive attitude. And Daxton, can you tell a little bit about what that journey to your new job looked like?
Yeah, my new job, I work in at Leonard University. I work in the cafeteria doing the drinks, pop, water, and coffee for students and teachers.
And in order to get here, we kind of had to go through some challenging interviews too.
Yeah.
Because with COVID, it became very difficult for us to actually go and do in-person interviews. So Daxton and I worked together to do a lot of online interviews, and that took some new interviewing skills, didn't it, actually?
Yeah.
And through our support at UCP and through Daxton's just incredible attitude, he was always a very hard worker, did everything and more that he needed to do, just went above and beyond to help himself get a job as well. We were able to use an existing relationship with Pedestal Foods here at Lindenwood, who has been a very supportive employer of other individuals with disabilities, and we've had a great relationship with them at UCP. And Jackson did an online interview, and they invited him to come to campus, and he met his supervisor, Chef Adam, and it was just kind of a really instant match there, because Jackson has maybe one of the biggest smiles ever, and I think he's really enjoying where he works now.
Excellent. Thank you all. And let's next go to, it looks like we're getting a really good internet connection right now with Josh, because I know you guys have been cutting in and out a little bit. So let's go to you all while we've got, looks like a good signal for you.
I used to work at Lenore, and now I work at Hy-Vee, and I'm like really liking Hy-Vee because I'm doing really good with customers and other stuff, and it's really good.
Good job. Josh, when he was a senior in high school, and he was working at McDonald's very successfully and wanted to branch out a job at McDonald's, and he worked at a nursing home locally. He didn't want to give it up because it was very family.
We're losing you, Corey. We'd love to hear more about Josh's story, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and move on to Cassidy and the Summer Future Foundation.
So we are talking about Sammy today, and Sammy is a participant in our Watch Me Thrive program, which is Summit Future Foundation's pre-vocational and career planning program. It supports youth and young adults in obtaining work-based learning experiences through a volunteer and internship model. And Sammy is actually one of my most favorite success stories because she was only a short 2 weeks into her internship, and I got a phone call from the director of the preschool that she's at, and she said, "We no longer want Sammy to volunteer with us. We want to hire her." And it was a really exciting phone call, and I remember vividly calling Mom and saying, "Your girl's got a job." So with that, I will turn it over to Mary to share what that experience was like, just kind of those first conversations about Sammy actually landing her first job.
Okay. Well, it's probably harder for me than her. She started off 1 day a week, and then within like a month or two, we moved up to adding every other day. So she was working Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it has just been a wonderful experience because as a parent with a child with special needs, you're always way ahead of yourself in years, wondering, what to do, when they get to a certain age. And so in my head, I was thinking, how am I going to accomplish something? Because I want her out in the community. I want her to hone in on these skills that she has. And with Cassidy, like opening the doors for me, it's just been, it's been a weight lifted off my shoulders. It's phenomenal. And the facility that she's at they're wonderful, and there's been some hiccups but we're going to work through those. But because we added actually another day, so now it's 4 days a week. So she's just grown so much. It's just been an awesome, awesome bank. I mean, for these people to, think about our kids when they actually do become young adults, and they do faster than we'd like them to. And we don't want to keep them hidden anymore. We want them to be out in the community, and because they have a lot to offer. So this has just been a phenomenal thing for myself, my family, and Sammy does all the hard work. But yeah, it's been nice.
All right, thank you. So Corey, we're going to try and come back to you. It looks like you guys have a connection again. It's one of the challenges with virtual meetings and living the pandemic. But let's go back and see if we can connect with you all again.
I was just, can you hear me? Just saying how we met Josh. We met him as a teacher in high school, and he was working at he was working at McDonald's, and he was pretty successful there, and wanted to add his experiences. He started a job at a nursing home here in Columbia, and very successful there, but for upward mobility were limited, and so he chose to give notice with that job a different employer. In the meantime, his family from a rural location in Columbia, and we helped him obtain a job. And his two received, and he's very comfortable with the fact that they want growing as an employee.
Okay, excellent. So, did you have something else you want to add, Josh? All right, well, we'll come back to you guys in a second. That is one of the comments that I was going to add is that I think what we've seen just from the folks that are on the call, we've got individuals who are working in retail. We have some in healthcare. We have individuals in food service. We've had individuals that have come up with some creative solutions to overcoming some transportation barriers. And we've also seen individuals that have made choices to go from volunteering to work, and individuals who are already employed that no differently than individuals without disabilities made the decision that the job they were currently doing didn't meet their needs, and that desire to move on to new and different career pathways. And I think that's one of the things that's important, because I know a lot of times in our service delivery, what we will hear is someone's working and folks are wondering, well, can we really help them change jobs? And the answer to that is yes. We want individuals to aspire to different careers, different opportunities, different options, and to meet those needs no differently than any individual without a disability would have in choosing their life employment career pathway. So let's go to the next question. And actually, before I ask my question, I see in the chat box that we have a question for Zach, and that for Zach and Daxton, and that is, what are some of the strategies that you all use to overcome the change of the interviewing process during COVID-19?
Yeah, so one of the things that we found during this interview process was a lot of our interviews, the first interview was, there was no person on the other side of the computer. And we would have to record our answers to these interview questions, and that was a little bit of a change for Daxton. Because Daxton's a pretty sociable guy. He likes being able to read off other people. So for us, it became, you would get, a sentence or two prompt on answer, on a question, and you would have to record yourself answering. So for us, one of the adjustments we made was kind of scripting out, how do you answer, answering this question. So we would write scripts and we would practice these common questions that they would ask on these interviews. before we would actually record. So going into that, we're ready with our answers and we practice them and we know how to rehearse, so we're clear. We know how we're going to answer those. And the other thing we learned is just have a really stable internet connection, because sometimes when you're on these things, you can't, if your internet goes out, and that happened to us once, our internet went out and we had to scramble to get back on. But, you know, I think the thing that was really helpful for us was scripting out those questions, scripting answers. It gave us more time to practice.
Okay, and while you guys are unmuted, I will go ahead and ask you all, not including the pandemic, we're going to take the pandemic off the table for everybody, but what, for you, what did you all see as the biggest obstacle or concern in going to work, and how did you overcome that?
What do you think, Dad? What do you think was the biggest obstacle?
How to get there.
Yeah, how to get there. Yeah, so Daxton, he drives himself to work, but one of the things was we didn't want to go that far. And he was very specific about the kind of environment that would support him best. So it really became a challenge of how do we find a way where he can get to that within 20 minutes of his home, but still have it to be a fairly supportive environment. And, you know, I think we're really thankful for Pedestal here at Lindenwood, who is that supportive environment. They really take care of their employees. They really support individuals that have disabilities. And it was as simple as for us just having a conversation with Chef Adams, the supervisor, on the phone that assured us that, you know what, it might take you 20 minutes to get here and we're going to support you very well.
Okay, excellent. Definitely one of the big keys is making sure you have a good job match. And match not only means proximity and job task, but it also means having that supervisor who is supportive and encouraging. And so it sounds like you all were able to make that great job match. So let's go to CC Links. Dakota and Lynn and Andrea, what would you all identify as one of the obstacles that presented itself, and how did you all overcome that obstacle?
An obstacle is transportation is one of the big obstacles I have in the job. Trying to get there, how long to get there.
Yeah, transportation was your biggest obstacle, and so how are you handling that right now?
I'm handling that by they got ahead the day I work and see if I need to get my astronauts for a ride to work. My aunt can't take me.
So you're thinking ahead, having to plan ahead and arrange rides.
That way I have a ride to work.
Yeah. And tell us about the actual job match, like what Dwayne was saying. Do you feel like you get along well with your supervisor?
I think I get along well with my supervisor and boss and stuff. Everybody likes me, I like them.
Very good. Yeah, transportation, but he's working on his license.
Yep.
He's going to go take the test on Monday.
Yep.
How are you going to get a car if you get a license?
No, I'm going to save up for my own vehicle.
Save up for a vehicle. Very good.
All right.
Plan.
Hey, Dwayne, I think I'll also add in there that our county has felt transportation is the biggest obstacle for employment services. So what we've done as a county is we have 2 funded routes through OATS for competitive employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities in Christian County. And our board actually just approved for January 1 a 3rd route for OATS transportation because we want our individuals to be able to get to employment. We've identified that as the biggest barrier for employment services, and so we want to try to limit that as much as possible.
Okay, excellent. So far we've heard transportation. It's been resolved through natural supports. It's been resolved through utilizing OATS. It's been resolved through a golf cart. And it's also been resolved through looking at proximity of work to the individual and being flexible with those work hours. So again, there's no single solution to overcoming transportation. It's really what works best for each individual. So let's go to back to Rhiann and Maddie at learning opportunities, and we're going to take transportation off the table this time as a barrier, since you've already kind of talked about that. What was another barrier that you all experienced, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, so what would you say was an obstacle, Maddie?
Obstacle, finding a job.
So Maddie was talking earlier and stuff, and she said finding a job that she liked and that would be important to her because she wanted to make sure she was not only getting paid and stuff too and to earn money, but she wanted it to be enjoyable, something that made you want to go to work, right? Just like everybody else. And living in a rural area, sometimes that can be a little difficult to find because of transportation and things like that. But working as a team and with everybody and through the work experience program, she was able to get on there at the villa, and she was able to find that job. She works with her great-grandmother, who's a resident there. Is that pretty cool, Maddie? Yeah. Yeah, so that was really awesome. So really it's just a great fit, and it just took a lot of opportunities that she had to, like, kind of reach out to. But, yeah, it worked out really well. But we would definitely just say probably the obstacle is finding a job that she wanted. And sometimes, a little more than just money, right? It was something that you wanted to really enjoy and learn and be able to grow and do different things.
Excellent. So it really does speak to those opportunities to have some of those early work experiences and unpaid work experiences. And one of the other common themes that I'm hearing for folks is really doing a lot of those transition experiences as individuals have been exiting out of high school and having that opportunity to kind of really find what particular career and job tasks really align with their interests and their preferences. So let's go to Mary and Cassidy on the biggest obstacle and how you all overcame it from each of your perspectives.
So I will go first, and I think that not necessarily unique to Sammy, but one of the biggest obstacles that we face in our organization is finding businesses that are open to customized employment and really carving things out that are very specific to the individual's unique skills and talents. In Sammy's case, that was not a barrier because she has a very unique skill set and she loves housekeeping and doing laundry. And her where Sammy is employed, that's actually what she does. And so I think that just generally speaking, our biggest thing is really finding those business partners that are willing to do that job carving with us. Mary, did you have any obstacles that you wanted to share?
Nope, I think you're right. Just finding, I'm trying to navigate through this. Just like you said, finding more employers that are, more open and understanding about this community. And I had something else. I apologize. It just went out of my head. Oh, gosh. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know. And we're also, I also would like her to kind of go out of her comfort also with, I know that, she loves to do what she's doing now, but as a parent, I don't know if that's going to cause other things, but maybe going a different direction to see if there's other things out there that, she may not tell me that she likes, but until she's put in that position, then she's like, oh, I do like this. I'd like to try that. And, but we'll see.
And I'm really glad that you shared that, Mary. I know that you and I have had frequent conversations about not limiting her potential. And even though she has obtained employment, not stopping there and continuing to expand upon her skills and generalize those to other environments. And that's, there's another individual on this call that shared that, there wasn't that upward mobility. And I love that that language is part of this conversation because those expectations for every person is something that we should all have. And I'd love to hear just kind of that, that being talked about on this call.
I agree. Yes. Thank you.
Kathy, a question came in as you were talking about opportunities to volunteer and do work trials. Have you seen that be more difficult in the pandemic environment that we're currently in, and what types of strategies are you utilizing to create those new opportunities?
Definitely, the pandemic has impacted our ability to engage business partners. One of the things that we have done that has really supported us, being in the nonprofit sector, we've really leaned heavily on our other local nonprofit organizations within our community, and I think that we all come from a very philanthropic background and understand the need for these experiences for the youth that we support regardless of the pandemic. Something else that we've done is really focused more on businesses that maybe don't have as much human interaction built into their construct, so we're not having to worry about capacity limits and things like that.
Okay, excellent. Josh and Corey, obstacles that you all had to overcome, and I always feel bad because you guys have such good, consistent video. Then when we come to you, then it begins to cut out on it. But an obstacle that you've had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
The biggest goal for me would be learning new positions, because at Lenore, it was really not exactly what I was hoping for. So that's why I'm thinking my big obstacle is learning new positions and like cooperating with more people and some other stuff.
For Joshua, it wasn't difficult to one position at his employer, and he wanted to do more. And when he gave him this, he was a little frustrated because he had asked for the job pretty quickly, but it wasn't big, and he wanted to see his potential.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So, one of the things I think that Josh talks about there is feeling empowered to be able to exercise your own choices, but also having that self-determination to take that risk of passing up on a job that you already have to go find a job that you think will fit even better with you. And that importance of self-advocacy and self-determination in employment is just absolutely critical in empowering individuals to exercise that choice and to have that voice. So I think we have covered everybody on that question. I know we only have about 15 minutes left. I do want to leave a few minutes at the end for anybody attending to post questions. So what I'm going to do is collapse the last couple of questions that I had into one. And so what I would ask each of the communities, if you would, please identify what you think that single biggest factor was for you in going to work or keeping your job, and what would you say to others in your circumstance? And let's start off with learning opportunities.
Advice.
It's easy to find a job. Like, you can find a job easy.
So Maddie said that it's possible and not to give up, and that it's doable if you have the right supports and right team, right? Yeah. And that really the most important thing is don't give up, keep asking, keep getting experience, start early. Do you think it helped you starting in high school to find a job and get those skills? Yeah. Yep. And through that and through her support, she was able to work through the entire pandemic, which is awesome. So she's just been an essential worker, and she's made a lot of great friends and coworkers. And again, her administrator and boss, Kim Thompson, has been phenomenal with helping create a diverse workforce for everybody, and supports and things that just really makes their team run very smooth at the Shelbina Villa for everybody involved, which is really great. So definitely, I think the advice from both of us is if you want to work, it's definitely possible, and if there's people that will be out there to support you, and that's worth it, right? Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. Let's go to Corey and Josh at ACTS. Again, what would you say to other individuals who may be considering about going to work and what do you think made the biggest difference for you?
You want me to tell us? I think Josh was your advocates would be his biggest advice.
Okay, I think I heard advocate for yourself.
Tell your team what you want.
Okay. Drive that person-centered process frequently and make everybody work, right, Josh? So let's go to Christian County Links.
Okay. So what was your question again?
The question is, what would you say to other individuals, families, or businesses that may be contemplating employment? What would be your advice to them, and kind of what was the single biggest factor for you that led to your success?
So your tips for success.
The tip for success is to work hard and stay focused and don't give up on yourself. And it'll all pay off in the long end. And you keep that up, you'll be successful, and you're good in the job.
Were you frustrated at any part during that job process?
I was a bit frustrated, but I knew I'd be patient and wait to be back from them.
Yeah. It took a little bit of time.
It took a little bit of time.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
I think so. There you go.
Patience, perseverance, and advocacy. Sounds like three wonderful pieces of advice. And I'm also seeing that Josh typed in the chat box, wasn't able to get it fully across the microphone, but was his exact words were, tell your team and advocates what you want, even if it changes. So let's go to Cassidy and Mary. What would you tell others as parents, and really what's the biggest factor in your opinion?
The first thing I would say is make employment an expectation in your family, an expectation in your organization. And when you start from that place, then when you're looking at outcomes, definitely research shows us that those expectations drive everything. And Mary, I will have you share what you would tell other parents or other individuals.
I agree with them. We knew we wanted her to work, so that was the first thing. And then the second thing was finding like you said, an advocacy, but not only that, like a job coach that would be with her, and that way there'd be a line of communication between the employer, Samantha, and what they expected, and for the job coach, so that there would be communication and knowing that she was safe too, wherever she would be at. But I think that would be, like Cassidy said, the number one thing is, if your child wants to have a job, and my daughter really doesn't want to have a job, she's not getting a job because she likes the leisure life. But but definitely, I think I feel so much more comfortable, and hopefully that, that will go away in a few years. But I think by having the job coach with her, it's a good thing. I mean, for me right now as a parent. And then I think it's just been a wonderful experience for her. She's really blossomed and grown, and it's been super, super neat.
So Mary and Cass, if you want to jump in and answer this also, I know as a parent advocate, what would you say to those other parents that are, because one of the things we frequently hear from support coordinators and service providers is that the parents sometimes have a difficulty with balancing that risk and that concern of individuals potentially being exploited or harassed in the workplace, or that concern about keeping benefits. I mean, what advice would you give to the other 60 people on the call of how to go about having that discussion with parents to consider that risk and what the rewards might be?
I think kind of the top three things that come to my mind. The first is if you're in a service coordination or a service provider role, taking the time to really educate the family about what those supports look like at the workplace. That's something that I know Mary and I had very specific conversations about, and they had similar concerns about her overall safety, and really understanding that the job coach can help support those safe behaviors and help support the personal advocacy that's going to keep, the individual safe. And then your kind of the second part of your question about the benefits, I think that also goes to, education and training about really how earned income impacts other support systems. And that's way beyond the scope of this conversation, obviously, but there are so many resources that DMH has out there, and tapping into those and making them digestible for families and for self-advocates, because it's kind of an intense process, but really breaking it down for them. And the biggest thing is just, the kind of frequent message, Dwayne, that I've heard you share is, you can work and make a livable wage and still keep your benefits. So those are the two things, or those are the things I would share. Mary, do you have anything that you would like to echo?
Yes, it is a lot to digest. There's a lot of information. And my number one thing is, like, if you have a case manager, then if you're not getting the information that sometimes you don't even know what you're not even asking for. You don't even know the questions. Just because living through this, there have been things like, it's like, oh, why didn't they tell me that? Why wasn't I exposed to that? Or I didn't even know what I don't even know to ask. So I would just say, just either you keep asking and, you go above heads and you just find out and you just read and you just try to connect yourself with people that can give you the information. And usually it's parents, just parents talking to parents and, sharing their past and what they're doing and how they're doing it. But yeah, and I would agree with that, just the support. I mean, I would not feel comfortable, Sammy, going into what she does, 6 months ago. But I agree. It's just the support and having an advocate and just advocating for yourself and your child and just finding the right resources and the people to help you, along this journey. So, because it's everlasting.
Excellent. Thank you for being willing to share that, because I know, again, as we had done surveys in the past, some of the top barriers were transportation, which we kind of ironically hit on today. It's the myths around benefits. And then one of the other obstacles frequently identified, and it's not a negative obstacle, but it's really sharing that opportunity with parents to develop that trust and confidence that their son or daughter has that ability to be successful out there and not be taken advantage of. So you guys have put some of the things that we frequently see in our surveys as some of the obstacles. So let's go to Zach and Daxton. And if before you all answer that question, again, if people have questions, please type them in the chat box. We have about 3 minutes left. I see one question that I'll ask everybody, or anybody's welcome to jump in and answer it. But before I ask that question, let's go back to Zach and Daxton on what would be your advice to other individuals?
Yeah, Daxton, what are your thoughts on that? What is your advice in your job search?
I like it, what I do on my job.
But if you could give anyone any advice that you want in your job search that helped you be successful in getting to the job that you have now, what is it?
Get ready, do my best every time.
Yeah. I think it's, kind of what Dax was saying is be ready to put in the effort. I think the outcome's only, the outcome is really going to be based off how much effort and how much work, advocates and clients, children, whoever it is, are willing to put in themselves. And that was the thing that we saw with Jackson, was he was so on the ball where it's, even when we're not meeting, he's applying for jobs. He's reaching out to me, and it's that constant desire to, this is really if I really want that job, I'm going to do everything in my power to set myself up for success.
All right. Thank you, guys. So one of the questions in the chat box, is, has anybody on the phone used accommodations or assistive technology as part of promoting health and safety in individuals performing their job duties? So anyone on the panel want to unmute and if you've used assistive technology or some type of creative accommodation?
I could jump in and answer that. UCP, we work a lot with between our clients, their families, and vocational rehabilitation or whoever our funder may be. That's an ongoing discussion that we're constantly having when we're looking, even before we place an individual in. What are the accommodations that they might need? If we go into specific business, is there what technology or what accommodation are they going to need to make sure that they're safe? Especially right now when we're in a pandemic where some individuals might need extra precautions taken. It's a constant conversation that we're having.
Okay, thank you guys. Anyone else use Cassidy?
So one thing that Mary and I literally just had the conversation about is Sammy has voiced that she wants to be more independent on the job and that she doesn't want to have as much time with her job coach, but there's still supports that she needs. And so we are specifically looking into technology at this point as we kind of fade out that job coach and fading in more technology so that she can have that independence and still be successful.
All right. And one last time, anybody else in the panel wanting to answer on that or have any experience? All right. Well, we are at 4 o'clock. I'm sure we could speak for another half hour or more, but we will prepare to conclude. But what I would like to say first off is, again, thank you to each of the pilot communities or the success communities for being willing to carve an hour out of your day to share with us your experiences, some of the obstacles you've had, and what you've done to overcome them. And so to each of you all, thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your own self-determination. Those of you who are the workers that the system supports, thank you for exercising your choice and continuing to exercise your self-determination. And so with that, I'd like to thank each of you all for participation today, and thank you each of the panelists for providing this opportunity for others across Missouri to develop some ideas of strategies and assistance to support the people that they're helping. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.